Hello again. One of the things that I've been really wanting to talk about for a while now is what it means to be a man. And it's not because I've figured it out. I'm still working on it. But what I do know is that we've seen a lot from the world and a lot from society that's told us what I think a man should not be. And we need somewhere to begin. And the term alpha male always comes up to me. And I've heard it so many times over the years. And unfortunately, it's somehow related to being loud and obnoxious, going to the gym, getting swole, like alpha male, right? Like that kind of machismo, high everything. And that's not actually what it is when it comes to a wolf pack. And I think that's where the term comes from a standpoint. A lot of people have used it in the sense of that the alpha male is the aggressor. It's the alpha male is the biggest, the loudest guy in the room, and it's just not the case. There was a study done, I think it was in the 30s, observing wolf packs. And if you actually look at a wolf pack and the way it operates based from this study, you'll see that the wolves that are in the very front of a pack when it's on the move, okay, they tend to be the ones that are oldest or younger. All right, so the ones that need to set the pace for the group. Okay, right behind them, you'll find the more aggressive younger males. You know, the ones that I think might be mistakenly thought of as an alpha male. They're the ones that are, possibly the next leader of the pack, but I mean, they're in that role and that space to protect and to work with the pack. And behind them, you'll often find the mothers and the really really young wolf pups, the ones that need to be, or the really sick, the ones that need to be, protected the most. And the funny thing is behind that group, you're going to find the alpha male. The shepherd of the group, the one that follows behind and protects and can oversee from a distance. That's the alpha male. And if we were to take that into our own lives now, how to be a man is not to be an aggressor, to be loud, to yell at people. I'm so disheartened when I see YouTube clips of pastors yelling at their congregations or anything like that. And part of me is just like, oh man, that's not it. But even worse when it comes home or in our friend groups or in our relationships, that there is an aggressor and that somehow that's seen as a popular or positive thing when it's an alpha male. The alpha male is a true shepherd. An alpha male is someone who looks after the flock, protects them, guards them, looks after their safety, but also their well-being. And I can't think along those lines without going to Psalm 23 and thinking about the Good Shepherd. So I'm going to read it and then talk about it a bit. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. And even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. I mean, it's such a beautiful picture of what an alpha male is, what a shepherd is, what a pastor should be. When I read that, and I'm just feeling that sense of peace because I know that the Lord is my good shepherd, and it's a wonderful reminder to read Psalm 23 and see that. He makes me lie down in green pastures, and he leads me beside still waters. He doesn't lead us, a good shepherd will not lead us into a place where we will not be fed well or we will not be safe. They lead us into those places for our own sake, but also for God's glory. He restores my soul and he leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. So the good shepherd will not lead the flock towards anything that is harmful for them, will not lead them in a place where there will be question and confusion and darkness, but rather lead them towards the light, lead them towards the good and safe pastures, and lead them towards the places where they'll be nurtured and nourished and their soul can be restored. What a beautiful, beautiful thought. And even though the tough day comes, and even though the valleys and the shadow of death comes, then we will fear no evil, because your rod and your staff, they comfort us. And when you think about what happened when the sheep were all gathered together, often you'd have many flocks that actually found good places, many shepherds that found good places to drink and good places to stay, and sometimes even in a sheepfold, which was the area of the protection for the sheep for the night. The sheep would know their shepherd's name. And so it wouldn't matter if the sheep intermingled. He could call them and they would know him by his voice, by his name, by his character, as we can know the Lord by his name, his voice, and his character. And the good shepherd at night would lay himself down across the doorway so that no animals could get into the sheepfold. The sheep would be protected at night. The good shepherd, the alpha male, if you want to look at it that way, will lay down his life for those he cares for. He doesn't have to yell. He doesn't have to be aggressive. He doesn't have to be someone who's, getting swole, doing all that, right? Nothing's anything wrong with weightlifting. I'm just sometimes just an unfortunate parallel between some of those personalities, I guess. Anyway, maybe that's just my own baggage. But point being is that a good shepherd lays his life down for his sheep. It says, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. The preparing a place before our enemies, it's like God has got our back. A good shepherd will have the back of his people. And a mentor said to me once that he will always have my back, but he never wants to be surprised, which means it was up to me to be open, up to me to be honest, up to me to seek help. And he would always be there and have my back. And that's always been an important thing for me. And I think an important thing for a shepherd to work with his sheep on. You anoint my head with oil. I mean, that oil will bring not only, the cuts and the bruises of the day, will take care of it, will be a balm for anything that, needs to be soothed, a cut that needs to be, cleaned. There's so much that a shepherd does that an alpha will do in order to protect their flock. I think it's a beautiful picture, and it's a gentle, it's a lowly, it's humility in action, and goodness and mercy follows us. So, in my mind, and what I'm working towards when I look at this, is that being a good shepherd, whether it's you're head of your household, whether you're head of a church, whether you are involved in a friend group, or you have influence at work, and maybe you're a manager, or maybe you're just leading upwards and you're being a manager without the title. However you're in your place in life, that you can be a gentle and a guide, and you can be someone who watches over the flock, sometimes from the behind, making sure that, the sick, the lame, the ones who need protection, that they're setting the pace so that you follow after them and work with them and protect them, and that you're not rushing them ahead, causing more injury just for our own ego, which I think can be a disastrous consequence when someone who doesn't understand what it means to be an alpha male. And I think a good leader will always serve the ones that he leads. So maybe it's something just to consider. And if this is something that, you're working through too, as I am, as a man, let's not look at what the world has to say about manhood. Let's not look at what the world has to say about leadership. There's a lot of good stuff out there, a lot of good reels, and it doesn't matter who they are. If they're not coming from a biblical point of view, they are missing something very, very important. And that is that heart of humility and knowing that the Lord is our shepherd. That the Lord is our guide. It doesn't matter if we're leader or not. He is our shepherd, and we are his sheep. And I believe strongly that we are all followers. We are all his sheep, but some of us have to follow first. And that is the role of the leader. That is the role of a pastor. That is the role of a shepherd. So come with me on this journey, and let's find out together what it means to be a shepherd, to be a leader, to be a guide, to be an alpha male in this world where it tells us so much of the opposite of what it really means. I'm going to be talking a little bit more about manhood in the next little while, and actually, I want to get into relationships with fathers and sons and fathers and daughters. I have both, and without bringing anything from their life in, because that would be unfair for me to do without permission. I can certainly just talk about what fatherhood is, and try and understand a little bit better about how that relates to how God is our Father. I can talk about manhood and how being a man has been a challenge at times. Not because I'm not a man; it's more just that acting like a man. We're told in the Word and even in the New Testament, act like men. And I think we need to. Well, I know that we need to be able to look to the Bible for that example, and that not the world. And we need to look to God's Word as an influence, and not society or culture, when it comes to what it means to actually act like a man. So, to be an alpha, you have to be a servant. To be an alpha, you have to follow and watch the flock and have them set the pace so that you can care for them in the best way. To be a shepherd, you lay down your life for the sheep, and you are always, always, always looking after them and taking them into your care. And love is the way.